Let's not mince words when we discuss the most disliked episodes of the post-movie era of SpongeBob SquarePants, A Pal for Gary, which premiered on January 2, 2010 in Season 7, sits right at the top of the sludge pile. The episode's writers crafted a story based on SpongeBob's guilt. He believes Gary is lonely while he's at work. The crucial, immediate irony is that the audience sees Gary perfectly content, relaxing with chips and watching a Western on television. This establishes that SpongeBob is solving a problem that doesn't exist, driven entirely by his own neurosis. His solution is Puffy Fluffy, a creature he buys from a vendor who gives a stark, ignored warning about its aggressive nature toward other pets. This small detail is the first significant derailment. SpongeBob is so absorbed in his savior complex that he willfully ignores a clear, verbal danger sign. The conflict is relentless. Puffy Fluffy immediately starts its torment, transitioning between the cute puffball and a horrifying, razor-toothed nudibranch every time SpongeBob enters or leaves the room. Gary's trauma is constant, and the physical abuse is visible. He's chased, pinned, crushed under furniture, and smeared with slime. The episode's failure pivots entirely on SpongeBob's deliberate and sustained obliviousness. This isn't just a simple case of misunderstanding, like in earlier episodes. This is a systematic character flaw manufactured by the script. When Gary is clearly bruised and cowering, SpongeBob aggressively blames him for being a bad host. The loyalty he typically shows Gary is nowhere to be found. This is what defines the episode's mean-spirited tone. The primary source of Gary's suffering isn't the monster, but the betrayal and neglect of his best friend. The climax of the episode ramps the horror up, as Puffy Fluffy enters its terrifying final form. It's an unnerving design choice for SpongeBob. A gargantuan, grotesque creature with multiple rows of needle-like teeth, visually far removed from the show's usual aesthetic. When SpongeBob finally wakes up to the house being destroyed, he finds Gary literally hanging from the monster's mouth, about to be consumed. And what is SpongeBob's final damning line?
You put Fluffy down right now!
This wasn't just stupidity. It was an act of narrative cruelty. The audience is meant to sympathize with Gary, only to watch SpongeBob demonstrate a terrifying level of cognitive dissonance, blaming the victim even when the clear danger is enormous and undeniable. For many viewers, this line marked the episode as unredeemable. The only salvation for the plot is Gary himself. Leveraging his consistent watch time of Westerns, Gary heroically uses lasso techniques to subdue the monster and chases Puffy Fluffy back to the pet store. The conclusion then solidifies the episode's critique. There is no meaningful redemption, and the final scene offers no profound apology or moment of realization for SpongeBob's week of neglect. The character learned nothing, and the trauma Gary experienced was simply a vehicle for the Monster of the Week plot. Ultimately, A Pal for Gary is a deeply contextualized example of how character derailment, the flanderization of SpongeBob's caring nature into pathological blindness, can severely damage the viewer experience. It stands as a monument to mean-spirited humor and forced conflict, and a strong reminder of why the integrity of the characters must always outweigh the needs of the joke. It's difficult to look back at A Pal for Gary and find any of the classic SpongeBob heart. If A Pal for Gary showed us SpongeBob's bewildering descent into obliviousness, then One Coarse Meal reveals something far more chilling about Bikini Bottom. The depths of depravity Mr. Krabs is capable of. This episode, also from Season 7 and airing just months after A Pal for Gary in 2010, is considered by many to be the absolute lowest point for the entire series. The plot begins with a routine Krabby Patty formula heist. During the usual slapstick, Plankton accidentally encounters Pearl, Mr. Krabs' whale daughter, and flees in sheer, unadulterated terror. Mr. Krabs, ever the opportunist, immediately recognizes this as Plankton's crippling phobia, a deep, existential fear of whales, his natural predator. This isn't just a discovery, it's the unlocking of a new weapon for Mr. Krabs, and this is where the episode veers sharply from typical rivalry into something genuinely unsettling. What follows is not comedy, but a sustained campaign of psychological warfare. Mr. Krabs, consumed by his desire to protect the formula and inflict suffering, systematically exploits Plankton's phobia. He repeatedly stalks Plankton, dons crude whale costumes, and mimics Pearl's shadow and voice, ensuring Plankton is in a constant state of terror. The episode explicitly shows this torment, lasting for 16 continuous days and nights. Plankton is deprived of sleep, haunted by hallucinations of whales, and driven to the brink of a complete mental breakdown. This portrayal of Mr. Krabs is a complete and utter character assassination. This isn't the greedy, penny-pinching boss we know. This is a sadist. His actions go far beyond protecting his business. They are a calculated, malicious effort to break another being's spirit. The narrative reaches its most controversial and widely condemned point when SpongeBob finds Plankton in the middle of a deserted road. This isn't a subtle hint. It's a direct, unambiguous reference to suicide. To include such a dark, serious theme in a children's cartoon, without any moral condemnation from the character inflicting the torment, was rightly met with outrage. It crosses a line from dark humor into genuinely irresponsible writing, normalizing despair and, horrifyingly, the act of attempting to end one's life. Adding to the episode's ethical failure is SpongeBob's role. Initially, he is the sole voice of reason and compassion. He confronts Mr. Krabs, articulating the gravity of what his boss has done. But Mr. Krabs' reaction to Plankton's suicidal ideation isn't remorse. It's unbridled joy and pride. He laughs maniacally, boasting about his psychological victory. This is a crucial moment for character derailment. Mr. Krabs' greed and cruelty completely eclipse any semblance of a moral compass, turning him into a truly irredeemable figure within this episode. The resolution then completes SpongeBob's moral compromise. To save Plankton from a real monster, SpongeBob reveals Mr. Krabs' secret fear: mimes. Plankton, re-energized, uses this information to torment Krabs in turn. However, the episode's ending utterly fails to deliver any satisfying comeuppance or moral lesson. Mr. Krabs is briefly scared by a mime, but quickly recovers. He then uses a massive projector to unleash a terrifying barrage of holographic whales onto the chum bucket, plunging Plankton back into profound terror. This ending means Mr. Krabs suffers no lasting consequences for his actions. He wins the psychological battle, demonstrating that his cruelty is not only effective, but justified within the narrative. SpongeBob, despite his earlier compassion, even helps Mr. Krabs with the final, tormenting projection, effectively endorsing his boss's malicious behavior. One Coarse Meal isn't just a bad episode, it's a deeply problematic one. It normalizes relentless psychological torture, makes light of suicidal despair, and leaves its most malicious character unpunished. It's a stark example of how, in attempting to push boundaries, a show can fundamentally betray its characters and its audience.